What's up, War Report family? Your boy C Dub here, and I am doing the pregame for Auburn versus Vanderbilt. Get in here, guys. We definitely want to see you. I'm joined by none other than Dylan Lark, who's now is a regular on our Facts and Our segments, weekly Facts and Our segments, doing good work there. I appreciate you coming in and joining us from the College Loop podcast on the War Report Network. Dylan, how you feeling, man?
Yeah, I feel pretty good. I think I've predicted Auburn to win this game. I'm going to stand by that, despite some of the headlines that kind of come up about some of the players who won't be playing. But ultimately, I think Auburn has the edge in talent. But today will be a good tell if Auburn has the edge coaching-wise or effort-wise.
Yeah, and you mentioned injury reports. Let's talk about that. Kicker Alex McPherson is reported to be out today. He will not be playing. How concerned is that for Auburn's special teams in the kicking game as it pertains to field goals? Auburn has been struggling mightily at that. I expect this to be a close game, Dylan. So field goal kicking does become important. How critical of an issue do you think that is?
I think it's big because I think that means if you're outside the 35-yard line, you don't feel confident kicking the ball anymore. I would even go in to say that you probably don't feel confident inside the 35 because I think he missed 2 20-yarders already this season. So, or at least he missed one twice. That's the kicker there. In a game where you're not going to see the ball a lot, Vanderbilt loves to control the clock. Points become mandatory on drives. Or if you want to stay in the game, if you want to keep up with Vanderbilt, you got to make kicks. And Towns, I think he's 5 for 11 on the year, so it's a little worrisome whenever it comes down to that.
Especially depending on where you are in the field. Like if you're outside of the 20 and 25, it gets really tricky, right? So that's definitely a point of concern. Another person who is a game time decision is Keionte Scott in the secondary. Concerns there in terms of, again, we've seen some people who begin to come on pretty strong in Auburn secondary. Keionte Scott has had a little bit of trouble. It's been a bit disappointing to kind of see him struggle this season, but he's a game time decision. How critical is he to Auburn secondary going against Vandy?
I think he's actually more of an issue for the punt returning game than he is in the secondary because we've kind of seen the freshman class kind of emerge with Jay Crawford and Kinsley Faustin and Caleb Harris. You've seen those guys kind of come into their own as the season goes along. And Keionte, for what he is as a punt returner, he completely lacks in coverage because he's such a game changer whenever you get him to return those punts. But this season, I think we've saw a increase of draft stock going from the start of last year to the end of it to a just drop off. Now, I don't even know if Keionte gets picked in the last 3 rounds of this upcoming draft class because of the way he's played in the secondary this season. So ultimately, I'm saying if he does play, I hopefully you see him bounce back. That's what I want to see. Keionte is one of my favorite players on this team, and I love whenever he's making plays out there on defense. But this season, he's just been a liability. But if he can bounce back, it'd be great. But
I think you make a good point about Keionte Scott in the punt return game. He had the muff punt earlier in the season, but he has been very sure-handed, and that does become a point of concern if he does not dress out in this game. Like that can flip a field and change the momentum swing. It can swing the momentum in Vandy's way easily if Auburn is up and Auburn muffs a punt and flips the field in Vandy's favor. So yes, we'll definitely be keeping an eye on that, especially when special teams comes up. You'll know for sure if Keionte Scott is dressed out or not. Bringing B Will in. B Will,
what up?
Thanks for joining us, sir. Listen, let's talk about a couple of things. Dylan, you and Ike did a Facts or Not yesterday, and one of the major things you covered was Auburn's run game. Clearly, this is a game where we're going to learn a lot about whether or not Auburn has found something and are they trying to build upon that. One of the things that they found, which was never really lost. It was there the whole time. Was Jarquez Hunter. He had a good running game, and the facts in our question was facts or nah. Jarquez Hunter rushes for 150 yards in this game. Both you and Ike said facts. B, will I give you an opportunity to speak on that? One of the points that you made out, and I thought was pretty interesting, is because I admittedly thought, what's the most yards or that Vandy has allowed a running back to get this season? That is 199 yards by Nathaniel Noel of Missouri. That was a road game for Vandy. And Noel went off in that game. Now, I'm not saying it's a different team, different situation. Auburn has a good running game. But after hearing that, it doesn't sound particularly crazy that Jarquez will follow up nearly a 300 rushing yards in a game with 150 yards per game against Vandy at home. B. Will, what are your thoughts on that, and how critical is Jarquez Hunter to Auburn's rushing attack this game?
I mean, we know how important Quez is. He's doing what we always thought he could do, which was be the best back in the conference. We thought he was capable of that 2 years ago. I mean, he's been critical for us.
Apparently, other people thought that too because he was voted first team SEC. Yeah, so other people.
It wasn't just us, you know. Right. It wasn't just us.
We're not being biased.
Right. So, of course, it's refreshing to get to see him do that. It's fair to question whether or not Kentucky's defense was too beat up to put up a fight last week after coming off the week they had before that. So I think it's fair to question, all right, well, is this what we're going to see from Quez? We're going to see somewhere between 150 and 250 yards a game for the rest of the season? Well, probably not, because we're going to find some slightly better defenses. However, the question is, how intentional is the staff going to be with making sure Jarquez gets his hands on the ball? We don't know that, because what I've seen time and time again from this coaching staff with the current quarterback we have is that, all right, we're not going to give him too much because he's messing up, but let's give him a chance to do it right here, and then he blows it. And then we're back in a whole bad field position, pick sixes, what have you. So is your intention to run Jarquez because that's the best chance, or does your old, but maybe we can get a big chunk play right here, does that red demon on your shoulder say, I don't know, they're not covering what's his face real good, we might have a shot, and then you put the ball in the hands of a quarterback who has proven himself unreliable over and over the last 2 years? That's really what I think it comes down to. Because if you're intentional about running the rock, you're going to run the rock. I will never forget a 2015 season where we were clearly, we had put a lot of hope in Jeremy Johnson's potential after the previous year, and it did not pan out. And so by the middle of the season, we're like, well, what are we going to do? And we went to Texas A&M, and Gus ran the ball 1,000 different ways to get the win at Texas A&M that year. We were not good. Our offense was not good. But what Gus knew he couldn't do was put the ball in the hands of Jeremy Johnson to win the game, because he had proven over the course of about 4 games at the beginning of the season, you're going to throw it. You're going to throw it away. You're going to turn it over, aren't you? I won't give you a chance to make that mistake. Hugh Freeze doesn't seem to be quite committed to you're going to blow it. He gives him a chance. He gives Thorne a chance, like, maybe now. Okay. Last game, he didn't have to, because the run game worked well enough. We possessed the ball enough in the second half. We came and got in field scoring position enough in the second half. And when given the opportunity, the 1 or 2 opportunities, Thorne actually did make a good play, and it got points on the board. So the danger, I think, is that Hugh Freeze could be in this game like, I don't know, last game he did okay when I put the ball in his hands. Let me try to do it again. And then he blows it. So it's not a question of can Jarquez do it? Yes, Jarquez can do it. Can our run blocking do it? Our run blocking seems to be fine. The question is, if the run is working, if the game plan is working, does Hugh Freeze or whoever else decides what plays are going to be called on any given moment go, I don't know, they're giving us that, maybe he can come through for us? That's the question. Take the ball out of Jarquez's hands, get greedy, and try to get a big play or a chunk play, and then that end up blowing it. To me, that's what it comes down to. Yes, Jarquez has the ability. Are the coaches going to stick to their guns Go by the data they've gotten over the last 18 games of Auburn football and say, I'm not going to give you a chance to blow this. I'm going to keep it in Jarquez's or Damari's hands or Cobb's hands. We're going to run wide. We're going to run Wildcat, whatever it takes to keep running it because that's our advantage. Cadillac figured that out in like a half week of prep time. I don't think it should take 2 years for Hugh Freeze to figure that out.
Dylan, to B. Will's point, he mentioned Jeremiah Cobb, and that's my daughter in the background. He mentioned Jeremiah Cobb and Damari Alston. How important will they factor into the rushing attack today? Because one of the things we've seen, even with Jarquez when he first got to Auburn, there began a debate about who's the better running back. But one of the astute points that Ike made is that people were looking for Tank when he was on the field.
Yeah.
Where's number 4? Find number 4, attack number 4. Even if they're throwing, hit Tank. Like, find Tank. Find where he is. And it's something about when the guy you're focusing in on is not on the field. There's a tendency for those other guys to get off. And I think that if you're Vandy and you're trying to stop Auburn from running, but you're focusing on Jarquez, this is a great opportunity for Damari Alston to eat. It's a great opportunity when they get their opportunities. Jeremiah Cobb, when he gets his opportunity, it's a good opportunity. How critical and how important are those guys going to be?
It's huge. Damari's been the most explosive back out of that entire group this year. And Jeremiah, he has had instances where he has been able to kind of get out in open space. But I think against Kentucky, I didn't really like how they tried to use Jeremiah because he's not a ground and pound up the middle back. He is going to be the guy you want to throw around the edge. And I think if you use all three of those guys correctly, I mean, you're going to get the most carries out of Jarquez. It's kind of like whenever you go out to eat and you get the main dish with the 2 sides. That's what those guys should be. It should be the steak dinner is Jarquez, and you get the 2 side dishes that complete the entire meal. Because again, passing wise, I think that Peyton Thorne should be passing the ball down the field. I like how they utilize the quick passing game against Kentucky. Cam Coleman on the curl routes. You put in Keionte Lambert-Smith out on an out route. I think that works a lot better to Peyton's strengths than trying to make him force passes down the field. And then that opens up the run game, and then that gets more carries for Damari to break through the line, more opportunities for Jeremiah Cobb to run around the edge, and ultimately another time you can get a record-breaking performance again out of Jarquez Hunter.
Big statement. I don't know. Jarquez has been pretty explosive at times this year, but hey, Damari Alston it is. Let me ask.
So Dylan, in this scenario, okay, is Cobb the Caesar salad and Damari's the baked potato, or who's what? Like you said, somebody's a steak and somebody's a sides. I need to know who is what sides in this.
Who's
analogy.
the carb and who's
is it a loaded baked potato?
If it's a steak dinner, then no, it's not. It's just gonna be sour cream and butter. Your staples, you know what I mean. But one's gonna be a salad. So you got to have a salad, and then you got to have a baked potato. I don't want to spend too much time, but I got to know in your scenario who is what.
I'm going to go with Damari as the baked potato and Jeremiah as the Caesar salad.
Because you can live off baked potatoes. You can absolutely live off baked potatoes. That's possible.
Yeah. You can't live off a salad?
Just a salad? No.
Okay. Just kidding. Right. Defense. Let's go to the defensive side of the ball. Obviously, all eyes on Diego Pavia. Some of y'all are already someone said Cobb salad. That's funny.
That's good.
That's good. Be call me Lana.
That was good. That was good.
My thing defensively is getting off the field and third down efficiency. In the game in which Vandy pulled off the epic upset against Bama, they were 12 of 18 on third downs in that game. Auburn currently ranks 61st in the nation in terms of third down conversion percentage, how often they're allowing teams to convert on third down. We know that Vandy's MO is to milk clock, win time of possession, keep away from the other team's offense. And Diego Pavia has the type of play to extend plays, make things happen when plays break down. How important is third downs for Auburn in this particular game and getting off the field.
Oh, it's incredibly important because very similar to us, they, like you said, they want to run and control the ball. They've been able to hit some home runs because of how electric Pavia is over the course of the season. But as we saw last week, Texas pretty much kept them somewhat boxed in. I don't think we beat Vandy if they score 27 points here. Let's be clear. If Vandy scores 27 points here, I think we lose this game. However, our defense has actually, I think, played up to par and probably a little past par over the course of this season. We've had one team score more than 24 points on us, and it was Georgia. And that a lot of that was because the offense was putting the defense in some holes. Like, what we haven't seen is our defense go out and get gashed up and just get run out of the stadium early and put the game out of reach for our offense. That has not happened at all this season. What we've seen is a game where they give up probably too much yardage in one or two possessions where they shouldn't give up points early in the game. They clamp down, and then it's a hold on if you can, but our offense doesn't do anything. Our defense is out there too long, and that's what ends up happening. This game, unfortunately, Pavia has seen this. Well, he hasn't seen this defense. He hasn't seen DJ Durkin yet. They didn't play Texas A&M or Ole Miss last year, so that's a bit of a surprise. I think it's probably an advantage for us is Durkin has now got more tape on Pavia than Pavia and company, his OC, have on Durkin. Not more tape as in what they want to do, but Pavia's been with his OC now for 3 straight years. And Durkin, with this personnel, this is year 1. And we're still finding guys that are popping up that are starting to show their promise, like Crawford did last week and like he's been doing all this season. I think we have the advantage here because we have less tendencies as far as our DC with our personnel than they do with their OC and their offensive personnel. So, advantage Auburn defense just right there alone. And then also you saw what Texas was able to do, who they were able to attack on that offensive line, where to pressure him, where to bring it from. You feel like, okay, maybe we can get to him a little bit. Maybe he's a little shaky. I see Riddick out there looking like a torpedo. Maybe we got a couple surprises in store. Somebody with the foot speed to cover Pavia. And a couple places, when you have an advantage like Falk on the defensive line, you can create some mismatches. You can create some havoc. I think you have to create havoc in order to affect Pavia enough to keep them from getting to 27, 30 points in a game, because he's pretty much been able to do that even in the games they lose. So if they get to 27, we lose. If there's anybody who might be equipped to keep them from getting to 27, though, I think it's us. This time of the year, when you're in November, people have been playing their hands for about a month now. Early going, you can kind of keep things vanilla and just win your games. Now we have an advantage because we're just starting to find ourselves, and Pavia has been having to fight tooth and nail for all these games that he's been playing. I think we have a slight advantage on defense. We will see if it holds up, though.
Dylan, your thoughts, man. And does Auburn get off the field enough?
Yeah, I think you look at the defense here. I mean, Bama had the ball for all of 18 minutes of the game that they lost against Vanderbilt. I cannot stress that enough that Vanderbilt beat Alabama this year. It's too funny not to mention every single time it comes up in conversation. But that means Vanderbilt had about 42 minutes of possession. If Auburn can't get off the field defensively, Vanderbilt's going to have their way with Auburn's defense. I mean, it's just going to happen. You have to force them into 3rd and longs. You can't let them get 3rd and shorts because then you're going to give up long runs to Pavia because you're trying to keep it short. And Pavia is a magician when it comes to getting out of a defender's reach. So looking at this game, I mean, if Auburn can't do that, that's the game. The entire game plan for the defense should be limiting Pavia, keep him in the pocket. Don't allow him to do what he does best, which is scrambling. He's Vanderbilt's leading rusher for a reason. I think he's top 6 in the SEC, top 7 in the SEC in terms of rushing yards. You can't allow that. And I mean, Eli Stowers is a good wide receiver, but I don't think Vanderbilt has the talent in the wide receiver room to really diminish what we've seen out of Jay Crawford this season. I mean, I don't think there's been a few times where I've seen freshman mistakes from Crawford, but not enough times to be worried about him in coverage in the long term. So yeah, you have to get off the field. If you don't, you're going to lose to the Commodores.
Yeah. So, gentlemen, what happens? It's prediction time. Dylan, you gave a score. I'll let you go last. But B. Will, what do you think happens today?
I don't want to have to say this out loud in front of people, in front of friends, family. I don't want to have to be down on my Tigers, man. Like I gotta tell a family member I gotta cut them off. That's what it almost feels like. You ain't never pay me back, man.
I've seen less.
Don't come back in here asking for no money. I honestly, this is a coin flip of a game to me. It is not about whether one team has a huge advantage over the other, because they don't. Our defense is every bit as good as their offense has been and can be. And our offense has the potential to be better than it has been, but it really comes down to who's calling the plays and who's deciding on what gets called when, and do you put the game in the hands of Peyton Thorne? If we have to or choose to put the game in the hand of Peyton Thorne, then we lose this game. If it's late, we're down 4 or something, then we're gonna lose. I believe that. However, if you can run, maintain, get off the field on defense, we can win this game. It honestly feels like a game where one fumble, one mistake can decide it. We've had games where we gave up the ball like a -4 turnover margin and we still had a chance to win it. That's not this game. I think one bad mistake either way could definitely call it and that be the end of it. But I don't know who's going to make those mistakes, though. Vandy's not an untouchable team. They're much better than they were because their quarterback is better. He's dynamic. He's got charisma. But he's not unbelievable. He's not like a Heisman candidate. He makes mistakes. He gets hyped up and he does some bonehead things sometimes. This is a complete toss-up. I'm trying to talk my way into a decision. See, like, all right, I hear you talking. Go ahead and decide. I don't know, Caesar. I don't know.
Okay. Okay. You can't say he makes too many mistakes. He has 3 interceptions on the year, and Vanderbilt's offense averages 0.6 turnovers a game.
Yeah, I know.
Top five in the country.
What was your score, Dylan?
Well, I picked 30-24, but there's a key number in this game to keep in mind. It's number 27. Auburn last week had 27 first downs. B. Will just said you can't let them give up 27. You got to get at least 27 minutes of possession. That way Vanderbilt's not controlling the entire game. And lastly, you have to feed number 27. And I think that's
all. Look at you. Hey, now that's a youth pastor sermon right there. That's a youth. I want to talk about 27. Okay. Dylan, I almost let you convince me. I ain't gonna fall for it yet.
Okay. So you still got some work to do, Dylan. I'm gonna go Auburn being at home, building off. I believe this is where you begin to see some things turn for Auburn in terms of how they've been running their offense. I do think they build on some of that, and I think they have some success. I think if this game was on the road, I would be a lot more negative, as I was last week when Auburn faced off against Kentucky. I needed to see Auburn show that they could win games in the second half, or win a game in the second half, and they did just that. I think there is some motivation with this, with Diego Pavia coming into town. I think Hugh Freeze wants this. I think some of the players wants this. I think they want to turn some things around. I'm going to slightly bug here. And I'm going to say Auburn 24, Vandy 20.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. See, you know what? All right. You going to jump out there? I'm going to jump out there. Vandy 27, Auburn 20.
You jumped out there and so you going Vandy.
I'm jumping out there. What have I seen for the last 2 years with this coach and this quarterback?
Okay.
That's what I'm going with.
Okay.
But we've seen before he took the game out of Peyton Thorne's hands last week.
He was able to because Kentucky couldn't score with crap.
But their defense, that's why we were able to get by their defense, was because they took the game out of the quarterback's hands.
Kentucky was swapping quarterbacks with neither one, even though the second quarterback looked okay, but neither one was really doing much. Kentucky and Penn State are both the same team in that no matter how much potential they might have, Their offenses are going to be underwhelming, so you'll always have a chance to beat them.
Well, Penn State's currently up 10-0 on Ohio State last time I checked.
Yeah, let's see how that goes.
Ohio State,
I just
don't think
don't.
Ohio State's good this year, but good, whatever.
Yeah, they're not really. I've seen it too often. Let's go back to the beginning of last season. At Cal was the first Power 5 game we played last year. Over and over and over again, we have underwhelmed offensively with this battery of Hugh Freeze and Peyton Thorne. In this game last year against Vanderbilt, which was probably Peyton Thorne's best game, he threw a pick six and said, "Coach, I just didn't see him." The best game I've ever seen him play, he threw a pick six. The best. I don't know, man. I can't trust that. Would you put money on Auburn winning this game, Dylan?
I mean, I've learned something. I'm not a betting man, but I know daggum well, I would never put money down on any Auburn Tiger team.
I mean, it would depend. It might be, but
I don't think
at some point in time, I used to be able to. But
real
I
quick,
understand what you mean.
Real quick, Louis, I get to the comments, B. So go ahead.
Go ahead. I called it 27-20.
Okay, let's get to some of you guys' comments before we get into transition to the game. Mojo Nixon loves fried chicken. Says Dirty Durkin and the Dirty Boys are going to put a pounding on Pavia. Pause. Did you see Pavia's Instagram post this morning? I did see that. Robin the Bank actually comes back and says it was a story that he posted, and he says, "Y'all thought I got lucky last time. I'm back on my ish." Not a lot of dirty talk there, but he wants to win.
Right, New Mexico's going to be talking.
It is what it is. It is what it is. TK says we beat the crap out of this squad last year. They added Pavia and a coach who doesn't call plays and a tight end, Vandy Waltz. When he walks into Jordan Hare Stadium and win, not happening. So he believes.
I hope you're right, TK. I hope you're right. I don't want my team to lose. I'm worried though. I'm worried.
Fair enough. Brad Brownie says people keep talking about the game being at Jordan Hare. Unfortunately, home field advantage has not been a thing at all this year. It hasn't. But again, if Auburn is no longer attempting to try to run the offense and ask Peyton Thorne to do things that he's proven he's unable to do, maybe Auburn is playing differently now. And let's see how they play at home now moving forward. Because then at first, Auburn played as though they knew Auburn is on the schedule. Oh, we could beat Auburn, man. Let's just beat ourselves. Do they stop that? Lately, They've been stopping that. They've cut down on a lot of the turnovers and obvious beating themselves there. Does Auburn put together a competent game plan? Do they execute? Do they put the ball in the hands of their running backs and let them eat away at the defense? Play keep away, play good defense. These are things that Auburn has proven they can do. Now at home, can they reproduce that? That's all I'm waiting to see. I think they can. Will they? That remains to be seen. All right, let's get out of here, gentlemen, and we will see y'all at the half. Definitely be here to give our thoughts on the first half of what we've seen in this game. Hopefully, we're not in down spirits by that point, but we will definitely see you, and we will also be on here to cover the post game. Guys, enjoy the first half. We'll see you at the halftime. As always, War Eagle.
War Eagle, y'all.
War Eagle.